So, guys, let's get started. We've got a long line at the pancake table. How much longer do you think it'll be before they arrive? Aha, okay. So it could be a few minutes. Okay. Hey, guys, the people back at the pancake table, please. Hello. So, what would be great is if you could come sit down. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to actually deliver the pancakes. When the pancakes arrive, we will let you know, and then you can go back and get them. Some people really want those pancakes, man. They are not going to move from that line. Can't wedge them out of there. Okay, well, let's go ahead and start our event. So welcome, everyone. We're so happy to have you. We've got a great turnout and really, really appreciate everyone showing up and hope that this is going to be a very, very informative and fun event for you. I'm Barbara Wiseman. I'm the training officer for CERT. Some of you might not know what CERT stands for. It's Community Emergency Response Team. And it is a local group of volunteers, your neighbors, who care enough to want to get themselves more prepared and trained for potential emergencies or disasters, and who also want to be able to, if possible, help their neighbors get through an emergency or disaster. So we are always looking for more members, and because the more of us that are trained, the more Pine Mountain Club will be secure and safe when actual disasters happen. Well, there'll be a lot of resources to help throw into action to get something sorted out and handled. We've got these photos running here because we wanted to kind of set the mood for the day. The purpose of this event is to help our neighbors and our community have a better idea of what to expect in a severe winter event, not just normal winter conditions, but a really severe winter event. And have a better, and how to be prepared for it so it doesn't become a catastrophe in your life that could have been avoided with just a bit more preparation. So how many were here during Snowmageddon? Raise your hand. Oh, good. All right. Well, a lot of you are already winter the survivors. Exactly. It's just amazing how fast things can turn from being kind of a normal day to something that's really not good. I wanted to tell you just a little story of something that happened to me last year. My dog was down at the veterinarian's in Lebec, and I was running a little late to go pick her up before they closed at the end of the day. So I had to get down there by 6:30. It was the middle of winter, it was cold outside, and it was drizzling just a little bit, but no big deal. And I thought, and I never do this. I always, when it's cold outside, I wear my coat if I'm going somewhere. But because I was in a rush, I decided, oh, I don't need my coat. I'm just, I'm only going from here to my car, and then I'm going to, run into the office and get the dog and back. No big deal. I'm fine. So I jump in my car, no coat, and I've got my phone with me. And by the time I get down to the bottom of Woodland in Mil Potrero, it starts a downpour like I've rarely seen before. Just one of these ones that the windshield wipers do nothing. And so I had to go get my dog, right? So I kept going, and the fog set in, and it was so thick that I could barely see 15, 20 feet in front of the car. So I'm driving about 20 miles an hour. It's raining like crazy, and I'm going through all the curvy, windy things, and I'm about a mile and a half from the Y, and another car comes around a corner, has its brights on, and totally blinds me. As soon as it goes past, I see for the first time that there's a boulder that's about this big that has rolled down the hill and is right in my lane, and it's 10 feet in front of my car. I don't have time to swerve or do anything. I hit it. My front tire explodes, right? But the fog is so thick now that I can't see the sides of the road to be able to find a place to pull off. And I can't stop because I'm afraid somebody's going to crash into me from behind. So I drive on my rim for about 1.5 miles to get to the big, that big turnout that's kind of at the bottom of that first hill area from the Y. So I knew that was there and I could see it enough to pull off in there. It's completely dark. It's an area where my cell phone doesn't work, right? I have no coat. It's raining like mad. It's very cold outside and I'm stuck. So it went from, 15 minutes, 10 minutes earlier being this just normal day of going to get my dog to turning into something that really could have been quite a disaster. So luckily somebody who I didn't even know very well, but they recognized me, was coming around the corner and they saw me and they stopped and they gave me a ride back home. But it is amazing how fast, particularly up here in the mountains, things can turn bad fast, right? And we need to be aware of that and prepared. So we have a great lineup of speakers for you today. We have a raffle with some really, really good prizes at the end of the speakers. And we have table demonstrations over here for after that, where we'll want you to come and just talk to people and get questions answered. And we've got a great demonstration over here of things that you should have in your go bag and things, supplies to have at home available, etc. Before we bring on our first speaker, I've got a couple of points to cover. First of all, we want to hold all the questions until the end of the event. The only exception to that is that with Officer Williams, who's going to be speaking in a minute, he has to leave soon after he talks. So he'll be speaking for about 15 minutes and then we'll have about 5 minutes of questions for him. But the rest of the speakers, please hold your questions until afterwards and then you can get with them or go to these tables and get your questions answered, okay? The reason for that is we've crammed a lot into this fairly short period of time and have a lot to cover. So I'm going to be moving things along very fast.
On the radio station.
This is CERT Command. Who is this?
CERT Command, this is Whiskey Romeo Yankee 500 Ian. I need a lot of help. I've been without power for 3 days. I'm out of wood. I can't cook any food. The roads are iced and unplowed. I'm in a lot of trouble here. I'm at 1234 Woodland. Can anyone help?
Ian, this is Barbara Wiseman. I'm CERT Command. I got that you're at 1234 Woodland and that you need help. You're out of power and food and can't, and the roads are too icy for you to get out. We're going to be sending a CERT team out to help you immediately. Please stand by. Over.
Thank you, sir. I'll be waiting.
Ted, CERT team here. I need you to put together a CERT team to send out to 1234 Woodland right away and help this fellow. He needs food, he needs heat, and he's hello. Definitely. That was a surprise. Anyway, so put the team together. We got this. Right. Mm-hmm. Woohoo! Okay, yeah. They're leaving in their capes. Great. Okay, so a little bit later, when Mark Greco is going to be talking, you're going to hear a little bit more about exactly how that works and what would happen if you needed help or someone you knew needed help and was calling in to CERT or on the Radio Safety Network radio, so that you can get some help out there from our CERT teams. Okay. So our first speaker is CHP Officer Williams. This is fantastic that we have someone from CHP coming to talk to us about how to drive in really bad road conditions. And so, Officer Williams, could you come up?
All right. I am Officer DC Williams. I am the Public Information Officer for Fort Tejon office. And I have been up here 12 years. So yes, I was up here for all the wonderful snow and got to see all the changes that have happened in responding to people stuck in snow, how Kern County, how they've responded, how Caltrans has responded, and the progression of that response. And I'll tell you what, it has changed dramatically in 12 years. We recently had our snowplay meeting back on the 13th with us, Caltrans, CERT, a bunch of other invested groups in regards to making sure that the roads stay safe and making sure that you as a community can get to where you need to go, because we know that there's all the wonderful snow people that are snow bunnies, or I know that there's a lot of other terminology that is used for those who come up and play in the snow. Okay, so I'll keep it at that. We did have a good discussion on that and in regards to responding and how things have changed since we have the authority to shut down the roads to those coming in when things are unsafe, when the snow play areas are already packed. And I will share with you, I was the first one who got to use that authority, and it felt great, to be honest. It did. It was awesome, because we saw that the snow play areas were full, and I was the senior officer in charge at that time with our chain check and the snow detail. Saw it was too full. I shut it down, and somebody from one of the cars jumped out and said, "Why are you doing this?" And me being the smart aleck that I can be at times, I said, "Because I can." And so yeah, it went over kind of okay. But they came up, we had a talk, explained the reasons why, and we started turning people around. From then on, it has progressed greatly in regards to where we are shutting things down. It will always be, it'll start more than likely at the Flying J, because we're able to get people turned around there. It's a lot safer. It keeps people from, the majority of people from sneaking in, because we know that if they know there's a closure, they're going to go use Google Maps or use Waze and find a back way in. And those back ways are where people get stuck. And that's where a lot of the issues are. We also had our Operation Snowflake meeting on Thursday down in Santa Clarita, and everybody is on the same page. Everybody's on track. Everybody's prepared. The weather service was there. And of course, the question came up, what's the weather going to be this winter? Is it going to be an El Nino, a La Nina? What is it going to be? Are we going to have a bunch of atmospheric rivers go through the area? And the weather service, I will pass this on, they cannot predict that far ahead. Okay? They cannot go that far. They can do maybe a month at the most. They can get close with a couple months, but going for the whole winter season, it's their best guess. So basically what we came up with after that is that we're going to prepare for the worst and expect the best. And that's what we have been doing. And seeing how everybody comes together when things hit the fan, it's, like I said, it's gotten a lot better. And hopefully with the community up here, it's gotten better. So in regards to driving in snow, who's driven in snow before? Who has not driven in snow? Who hasn't experienced driving in the wonderful white stuff? Okay. So the majority of you that have driven in snow, you know that the roads are extremely slick. And it's not just the snow, it's the ice underneath the snow that makes things so dangerous, especially on the S curves and people trying to get up and out from here to Lebec or to the freeway. It's making sure that you've got the four-wheel drive, you've got the chains, you've got the proper tires on your car, which a lot of people that come up to play in the snow, they don't have. And I was fortunate enough, I'm originally from Utah, so I learned to drive in the snow. My last winter there, we had over 5 feet of snow in the Salt Lake Valley, which was kind of unheard of. We were shoveling snow off the rooftops, which that cost a lot of people to fall off their roof. Thank goodness there was a little bit of snow there to help cushion that fall, but I was I didn't fall off. I promise. I wasn't the ones that fell off. I was very smart about it. But I wasn't smart enough because I had just shoveled the driveway and shoveled all the snow from the roof onto the driveway. And as we all know, when that happens, snow compacts and it's not, yeah, it was not fun. My dad loved every minute of that one. So you guys who've driven in snow, you know it can be slick. You know that when you're driving in the snow and your vehicle starts to slide, if it's going to the right, you turn towards the right. So your car can kind of get that traction back. If it goes to the left, same rule applies. You turn to the left. If you're going too fast and you do that turning movement and you apply the brakes at the same time, you're going to be spinning out of control. And you're going to end up either in a snowbank, you're going to end up hitting the guardrail, you may end up hitting another car. So as you guys have had that experience, hopefully the majority of you have experienced a little bit of that, not to where it led to a crash, but to where you know what your car feels like when it starts to slide. You know what it's like when your car is losing that traction. And you also know that when you're driving, you don't turn your brights on. You leave your regular headlights on because it doesn't do you any good to have your brights on. It just reflects more. If it's snowing, if it's foggy, it's just going to reflect off that moisture that's in the air and make it harder for you to see. And it's going to blind the person that's coming at you. So with all of this wonderful experience that you guys have had, you guys know what to expect. We know that it's not going to be a normal winter. Has it ever been a normal winter up here? Have we ever had a normal season? I have not seen that. That's why I stay up here, because I love the unpredictability. It reminds me a lot of Utah as well. And I love being around the snow. I love being up in the mountain areas. And I'm grateful that I have been assigned as the PIO here for the last, I think it's been 3 years now, because I've been able to be in the community more, and I'm trying to be in the community more. And I know that we've had some issues with trying to have officers out here all the time. And I will be completely transparent and let you guys know that we are extremely shorthanded as a department, not just up here in our area, but statewide. We are shorthanded. We are trying to get cadets through the academy. And with those cadets, I'll give you an example. We start out with like 100 cadets. Out of that 100, you're going to have probably a minimum of 10 that are going to quit the academy for various reasons, whether they don't like being yelled at, whether they realize that, oh, you know what, this isn't what I wanted to do. It's like, well, you should have made your decision through the process. But we're going to lose a certain percentage. Anywhere, like I said, that's a minimum is 10 will quit the academy. Then you'll have another maybe 10 that will fail out because they didn't apply themselves to studying. They didn't apply themselves to the physical portion of the training, which is a lot. You run almost every day. You're doing all of these different things to keep you in shape and to help prevent injuries, and that when you're out on the job. So those will be gone. Yeah, they'll get another chance, but it hurts that class. Then you'll have the ones that will graduate. Then you'll have so many that will not make the probationary period. They won't make it off break-in. Then you'll have a bunch more that will quit because in the academy, you're in a controlled environment. Then you get out into the real world and see how things are. You see how things are happening. There was one who went to a suicide and he quit on the spot. He was done. He was done. Hey, take me back. I'm done. Turned in his badge, his gun. That was it. And they're not ready for that because unfortunately in law enforcement, we see things that the normal people don't see. Like when we have the snow and we have people stuck in the snow trying to get out there. There's officers that maybe have not had their license except for maybe like a year, that have never driven in adverse weather conditions, as we have to drive as first responders trying to get to help people. So that just kind of sheds some light on why we're shorthanded, but we are trying. I mean, they're running more academies than they have in the past. They're running like almost 3 consecutive academy classes, like back to back. So you'll have your kind of like a high school. You'll have your sophomore class, junior class, and senior class. And they're running those, at least 4 of those, 3 to 4 a year. So we're getting them through. We're trying to get them there. We are slowly getting more people, but as of right now, it's been a challenge. And I know that in the past, there's been attempts to have a contract between Pine Mountain Club and the Highway Patrol. That has not gone through for various reasons. I haven't been privy to the reasons why, but I know there's been 2 attempts to try to have several officers out here, whether it was on an overtime basis to help enforce the traffic laws and stuff, but being a private community where you guys have your dues and everything else, it makes it kind of challenging. And I don't know if that's been addressed or not. Again, it may be, but as the majority of you know, if things are bad here, we're going to do our best to get out here to help you all out. Unfortunately, when it's going really bad on the I-5, that's our focus, because once we shut down the I-5, phone calls start happening from our office to our division chief, to the commissioner, to the governor. And updates need to be given every 45 minutes at the least on what is going on. So when that happens, unfortunately, that takes resources from here, and we focus on the freeway. But once we get things shut down, once we get things going, then we can start branching the other officers out. It's not that we just don't care. I'll be honest with you right there. That's not the case at all. It's not that we don't care. Oh, Pine Mountain Club can take care of themselves, or Lake of the Woods, or Pinyon Pines. It's not that. It's a matter of the resources. So we will call search and rescue a lot. There was a year where there were 100 cars that were stuck in the snow that got on the Google Maps trying to get around the closure, and were stuck. And we had to call search and rescue to come out and help out with those cars. And when we couldn't get to them, unfortunately, with our patrol vehicles, yeah, we are kind of limited to where we can go, where we can't go. And when there was Snowmageddon, that was very interesting to drive in. That was very interesting, because there was an incident where me and a deputy had to try to get over to the Holiday Inn to help out with a disturbance that was there. And my vehicle slid sideways, his vehicle slid sideways, going down an embankment, because we were up on one of the dirt trails trying to get past all the wonderful people that came up to play in the snow. And it was jam packed. And so we were driving on one of those dirt trails that parallels the road. And yeah, we slid sideways going down there. We did that like twice trying to get there. So we want to help out. And that was brought up in some of the meetings I talked with some of the people afterwards. So Brandon Carroll, who's in charge of Kern County Roads, he is really good with what he does. He has a great crew with him. And I've seen the progression with Kern County Roads and responding out here when there's calls, when they know it's bad. They've got a lot of area that they've got to cover. And they are trying to get everything done as quick as they can, especially when it comes down to making sure the roadway is safe for all of you to get from here to where you need to go. So continue to be patient like you guys have. And when you see somebody stuck, you can always call 911. You can try to help them. I know you guys are putting yourselves at risk, but I've seen a lot of the community stop and help people that have been stuck, that have tried to help pull them out from where they are. And you guys are a wonderful community. You guys are. That's part of the reason why I've been up here half my career. So yeah, I've been up here, like I said, 12 years. So that's half my career I've been here. The longest office I've been at on my 24 years of being on. And you guys are a wonderful community. You really help out. You step up. Even the snowplay people, you help them out too, which is great, to see. And yes, I keep bringing them up because they're the ones who are going to be the most unprepared. They're going to be the ones that are going to be driving their high profile vehicles with their high profile tires, that are going to wonder why they can't go up the hill. Why, when they came through the back roads, they're now sliding backwards. Those are going to be the ones that are going to be getting stuck. And so in talking with some of the CERT team members and that, with some of the people that have just moved here, that if they've never driven in snow, we're possibly going to maybe do a meeting where I can come in, talk about driving in the snow, being prepared, because a lot of those people that have just recently moved in, I wonder how many of them know that it's really good to have a four-wheel drive vehicle, or know to have chains, or to have certain things for their car to get up and out of the snow. But if we can get that done, that would be great. But as a community, I know you guys will talk to your neighbors and let them know, hey, guess what? It's wintertime. Guess what you guys need to do? And I'm not knocking anybody who has a Tesla, okay? So don't take it that way. But hey, I've noticed you got a Tesla here. I don't know if your car's going to make it out. And because we've had a lot of Teslas get stuck, and those are very challenging to get out. And if they're involved in a crash, the majority of the ones that I've responded to, they shut down. The whole car shuts down and has to be towed out, okay? So those who have Teslas that are just recently up here, be very careful with those, okay? So help out your neighbors. If we need to do a class, I'm more than willing to come back and to do a class for those who've never driven in snow. We can't train you, because as a department, if I trained you and, oh yeah, Officer Williams, he showed me to do this and that and everything else, and you leave out that maybe you hit the brakes, then that makes me liable. Okay. Oh, he told me I could hit the brakes. I never said that. Okay. So, but if I can talk and give some more advice to those who've just gotten here, then let the CERT team know, let the, what do you want to say? The chamber members or whoever, what's that? The board. There we go. The board. Let the board know, and we'll do a class for that, because we want you guys to be safe. And the main thing in doing what I do as the public information officer, that's not my only thing. I also review the crashes at our office, along with 50 other different responsibilities. But the main cause for the crashes that happen in this type of weather are, what do you guys think it is? What do you think the main cause is? Speed and driving in the ice and snow, driving too fast in ice and snow and the rain. Yeah, ice is nobody's friend unless it's in a drink. Okay? Ice is nobody's friend unless it's in a drink. Okay? So it's driving too fast on the ice. It's not the snow, okay? Just know that it's not the snow why we shut it down. It's the ice. It's the ice. That's what causes the vehicles to start to slip and slide as they are going over the grapevine. One year we got like an inch of ice on the freeway in a matter of minutes. Okay, it builds up extremely fast, so that's why they're trying different techniques to try to keep the ice off the road surface. Back here, same thing. But not only that, do you have the ice on the roadways? You've got areas where the trees cover the road where the sun cannot get to those areas. On the curves, there are several that I know extremely well because I took several crashes there. I've almost been hit several times on some of those turns where it's icy. So for those of you who are experienced here, for those of you who have and know of people that have just recently moved in, make sure they're aware of those spots. Make sure they're aware of those locations where there's a turn, there's a tree that's there that blocks the sun, and it's icy all year long. You might be saving a life. You're going to save them from a really bad experience. So hopefully I've hit the majority of topics. I'm sure a lot of you guys have a lot of questions you want to ask, and I will do the best that I can if I didn't cover everything. But did I talk too long? Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Once I get talking about a subject I really like, I can go on. So I apologize, but who's got a question for me? I can try to answer. Did I cover everything that well? Okay, good. Yes. Okay, that's a good question. Okay, what else have inside your car besides change? I would definitely have some flares if you guys have flares, but do me a favor. If you do get flares and have them in your car, do not uncap them. Oh, trust me, we had a couple patrol cars that burned up because of officers preparing flares the wrong way. So I'd have flares, flashlight in your car, have an emergency kit, blankets, just in case you get stuck, or so that way you may be able to help somebody else out. But chains are going to be the main things to have. And if your car can't have chains, or you're not sure, get your own owner's manual out with your car and read that, and it'll let you know what the specifications are for that car. Like for some of our patrol cars, we can't put chains on them. We've got to use something else. We've got to use these grippers that have like spikes on them. And once you have those on your car and you get out of here, you've got to take those off your car because you cannot be on the freeway with chains or spikes on your tires. Okay. Okay. Being a state employee, I cannot say that you should have salt in your car. Okay. I cannot say that salt will help. Okay. Especially being from Utah and seeing how salt is, because it can damage your car. But majority of us know that if you have salt on your car, what are you going to do? Yeah, you're going to wash it off. You're not going to throw hot water on your windshield when it's icy cold, but you can get the salt off your car and wipe it down. It will help. You could even use a flare to melt the ice too. You could light a flare, have that melt the ice. And that will help. You could have cat litter, helps if you want to have that in your car. That'll help that. What was that? Oh, sorry. I thought I heard somebody throw something outside. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. 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 And that doesn't help at all. If somebody's going wrong way passing other cars because they want to see what's going on. Oh, why is traffic stopped? It's like, really? We stop it just for fun. Yeah. Yeah. And that is a good point. If you are going, make sure, yeah, you've got a full tank of gas. And that's one of the things I try to put out in the posts when we do have a closure, is trying to advise people to make sure they got a full tank of gas and that they slow down. And some people will listen and some people won't, and they get stuck. I think you had a question first, and then what flares, like what they are or where to get them? Flares, have you ever seen like on the freeway when things are shut down, those things that are glowing that are kind of on fire? Those are, yeah, it's like I think, do you guys have? Yeah, it's basically to warn people, but you can use those to heat up the ice that you're slipping on your car just so you can get unstuck and get going. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yep. Yeah, that's really good advice right there. So just your emergency kit is whatever you want to make it. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people, a lot of really good things. Yeah, you want to make sure both your hands are free so you can do things. So the headlamp is great. The blankets, whatever is not going to go to waste, is good to have in your car. So the main thing is that you guys are safe. And if you guys have an unfortunate that you guys are able to be safe until we can get there, or until search and rescue, or until the CERT team can get there, it's very important to have all of those things with you. Yeah. 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 And that's a good point too. If you're not comfortable driving in the weather, then the best thing is stay home and wait it out. And seriously, if you don't have the right vehicle, or if you don't have the right equipment, or if you're just plain uncomfortable, rather than chance it, stay home and let the storm pass. But I think I got on the Fraser Park Communities Facebook page, but hopefully you guys do follow us on Facebook, Instagram. I'll try to put out as much as I can. I know, and I will apologize for this real quick, and then I'll be done. For those of you that send messages to our Facebook page, please know that we do see those, that I look at them. I may not respond to them. Don't take that personally. I don't respond to anybody. For the simple fact, because with me, the way that I am, if I respond to one, I respond to all. And I don't respond to anybody. And also, a couple years ago, one of the websites from one of the LA offices, can't say what office, West Valley, had their Facebook page, their Instagram page, and their, it's now X page is taken down because they tried to make a joke and started a conversation, and there was a lot of stuff on there that should not have been said, so they lost their privilege for over a year. And I do not want to chance that. So that's one of the reasons why I do not answer back. Not that anything would happen like that, but if I answer one, I answer all. And if I had the time to do that, I hope you know that I would do that. But we do read those. So if somebody puts out that, hey, Mill Potrero is all iced up, we need cinders here, here, and here, I pass that on. I call Brandon. I make sure he knows. I make sure our sergeants know, make sure our beat officers know what's going on. If there's a crash, if somebody's stuck or anything is going on, we get out there. So if you want to send a message, if you see something that's very dangerous, just know I do get it, even though I may not respond. So again, please don't take that personally, okay? But I appreciate the time I've had to talk here with you guys. Hopefully I can come back again soon. And hopefully we'll have a safe winter with everybody. And if anything comes up or if I missed anything, you know you can always reach me at the CHP office, okay? Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Officer Williams, for joining us today. So our next speaker is Joe from the PMC Homeowners Association, and he's going to be talking to us about snowplows and those dreaded berms.
Hello, everyone. Excuse me. I have my phone on. I may have to leave at a moment's notice. I do have a party up here that's trying to do an illegal dump, so I'm trying to keep tabs on that. But in the meantime, I want to talk to you about what we do here in PMC for taking care of our roads during the snow events. First, a little history. I've lived here 23 years. I've experienced many, many winters. I've probably plowed for half of those. I still continue. I don't do it regularly now, but since I'm here on Saturdays, if somebody needs to go out and take care of a little bit of plowing on a Saturday, and if I can do it, I'm still out there doing that, or sanding roads and so forth. So I'm still out there participating in it. I'd also like to put out there, we all try, I think, patrol, I think environmental, and Michelle at the front desk do an absolutely fantastic job of trying to answer your questions when we're in these events. Please, I encourage you. I've probably handed my card out to every one of you before, maybe on many occasions. Always feel free to give me a call if there's questions or if there's an issue that you're not sure about. I want to help. But to begin with, how do we set about handling snow situations? Well, maintenance is generally in charge of all plowing. They keep a very close eye on all weather events. In fact, everybody, once we know there's a little weather coming, we're all talking to each other about what we're seeing, what we might expect. Particularly during the daytime when maintenance is working, they will be doing their own runs to the tops of the like Woodland and so forth, that's where we expect to see the first snow falling. Now, they'll do checks up there if this is during a time when they've gone home. Maybe it's late at night, 2 or 3 in the morning. Patrol is keeping an eye open up there too. They'll run up there on a regular basis. They'll check to see how much snow is starting to accumulate up at the top. Usually, when 3 inches or more have accumulated, then the plows are called out. Now, they'll come out and they will start to hit all of the main streets first. That is their priority. Main streets like Woodland, Linden, Simons, those main streets. Those are the first ones that need to get hit first. Then, all of the plow drivers, they have their own areas that they cover so that they're used to them and they understand them. I remember when I was first brought on, I went out there and I drove the streets that I was going to be in charge of, so I would get to know them better. And you get to know and understand that all of the streets up here in PMC are cambered, meaning they're tilted slightly one way so that it will draw moisture to one side. Now, that doesn't apply to snow, but it certainly applies to all the water that starts to accumulate when it starts to melt. And we want to push that snow to that side so it can drain more effectively. Again, we're going to hit the main streets first. Once we're able to get those, then we can move on to the smaller streets. There are certain streets that are very tricky and very difficult that policy-wise, we do not attempt to do those at night because it's just too dangerous. These are the very small streets. These are generally streets that aren't really marked very well. So it's easy for a plow driver, if it's got a couple of inches of snow on it, not to see where the road can end and the street begin. So that's why these streets are left for the daytime. All of the major streets can be done during the evening, during the nighttime, or day. And the secondary roads certainly can also be done too. Now, the other thing to bear in mind is every time we get snow here, it's a different type of snow. As CHP has mentioned, sometimes we're going to get really wet snow, like this last storm that we just had. Relatively wet, and it wasn't really that cold, so it was rather straightforward to clean that snow up as it came down. It wasn't that heavy. Oh, there was a storm that I was involved in. I'm not sure. It was a very wet, they called it a Sierra cement snow. It destroyed hundreds of trees. It was late in the season, and it kept falling and falling and falling. I think I went for 14 hours straight that day. And at one point, because there was such an accumulation of snow, and this is a slight drawback for the pickup trucks with the plow, they can usually handle most snow. But when we get into situations where the snow is very heavy, if it's bad enough, the plows start to ride up on top of the snow because there's so much snow to push. Times like that, the only vehicles that are really going to be able to clear those situations are the large loaders that we have. In fact, usually if we're dealing with several inches of snows, the plows can handle that. When we start to get more accumulation up on the higher elevations, especially, we're going to have these team efforts, whether it's going to be a loader and either one or two plows that'll be coming behind them. The loader will come through and break up and make that initial pass, and then the plows will come along and push along on the exterior side of the path that they've made to help break that up and get through there. Oh, something to bear in mind too. Plows do not usually come out and make the pavement perfectly clean and without any residue. Always expect that when there's plowing done, there will be a small layer of snow and compacted ice. So always be careful. Always be aware of that. Plows cannot completely clean that off unless we're talking about a very, very wet snow that's easily pushed off and is already melting because of the warmth of the pavement that's there. But once we get into weather when it's cold enough and it's staying really cold at night, there's going to be a layer of snow that's there that's going to freeze, and as people drive on it, it'll turn into ice, and that's very important to bear in mind. If I can, I would love to be able to give you this advice also. You can be the best driver on snow and on ice. The problem is, we're a community that many people like to come up and visit, and I think that's great. I love to share the mountain with those people. Unfortunately, many people who come up here are not prepared, or they've never driven in snow before their entire life. So as I say, even though you may be the best driver in snow and ice and feel very comfortable doing it, if you can avoid it, especially during the first few hours when things are just getting going, I would say stay at home. I'm sure somebody else has already mentioned it. All of us should have at least 3 days worth of food and fuel and materials. So if we don't have to go out, we can stay in and not get involved in situations. A couple of winters ago, trying to get out of here when many people who were visiting for the first time tried to make it out, and we've all seen it. They've spun out, or they're not able to make the climb up the hill to get out, and it blocks the roadway for everybody else. So I think if you can avoid going out in situations like that, do so. Wait until county has been able to take care of the situation better, make sure that we've been able to take care of the situation better also. I'll give you a take from what it was like on that 14-hour day. So I had an assigned area that I was to cut, just like all the other guys are when they come out to do their work. We know our areas, we know the streets we're required to do. We know also we need to clear the major arteries first. That's so very important. We can't get beyond that. We need to do those first. When I was driving for those 14 hours, snow continually fell, night and day. And as soon as I cleared one street and I started on another, the path that I had just cleared on one street was slowly being covered up again. So by the time I would hit all of the major streets, I already had 2-3 inches again accumulated on the major streets. So I was going back and hitting them. Now I worked the major streets because that's what's most important first. When the snow eventually started to slow down, that's when I could hit the smaller, more minor streets. So it is important that everybody understand that we're working as diligently as we can, but as safely as we can. It's very difficult to be out at night and you're plowing, you've got all of your lights on, the snow is falling, you see that constant movement in front of your eyes, you're trying to make sure that you're taking care of the streets that you may take care of. I'm glad I don't do that anymore. That's for younger people, I think, but It's a tough job, but I think everybody does their very best to try to make sure that we get our streets as safe as possible. But we need your help in that. If you're going to do something, please plan on doing it before the snow falls. Save your shopping for afterwards when things are all settled and done with. When it comes to extreme situations like we had 3-4 years ago with Snowmageddon, everything is off the table. None of our regular truck plow could work the amount of snow that fell. There was so much snow. And I'd been here 23 years and I'd never seen snow like that. The only thing that was really working were the loaders. And we have 3 loaders that we can use, but we need to use them in concert with the plows. We have that much snow. It's not just a matter of pushing it to make a path, but where are we going to put this material? It's huge, it's bulky. So it takes a lot of time to get that material moved into safe areas. Now, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Berms. All right, let's talk about berms. So let me touch on berms. My apologies for going long. If you have an issue with your street, you need to understand this. A berm is not when the plow comes by and scrapes the street and you have a half a foot of snow on your driveway, not because anything's been thrown on there, but because that's what accumulated there from the snow. That's not a berm. That's the accumulation that you need to take care of to get your vehicle out. Now, berm can occur and will occur when we're trying to move the snow to make pathway when material gets pushed up. Now, our initial goal, remember, is to make pathway. We are going to be pushing snow. Hopefully we're pushing it to at least one side and not both sides. But that occasionally will happen to try to make it wide enough so we can have passage of 2 cars. If we get snow that we have pushed up on there and it needs to be removed, you need to contact us if it hasn't been taken care of. But first, while the snow is falling, we need to try to keep the roadways as open as possible. And clearing berms will be for once we have had an opportunity to get the roads clear, the snow is letting up, and we can go back and hit those areas that we need to break up the built up pile, which would be the berm. Sanding again will not be done until they're sure that there's no more snowfall coming. Did you need me to touch on anything else? Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. I should have mentioned that also. If you are disabled, come in and see Michelle. You'll be required to show information that you are handicapped, and you will get a special list that lets us know, oh, we need to make sure we clean those berms off first. Yes. We also, in the environmental office, we do have a list of people who do it privately. If you want somebody to come out and clean your driveway, contact Kay or I. We've got a list. We can send that out to you. Any other questions? Oh, okay. Absolutely, it'd be my pleasure. I'll just be at the office and anytime. Be my pleasure. Thank you all very much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Joe. Wish we had another half hour to hear about berms. We could use that. Okay, our next speaker is Kathleen Weinstein. And Kathleen is the communications lead for EP, which stands for Emergency Preparedness Committee. It's under the Pine Mountain Club's Homeowners Association. So she's going to be talking about what kinds of things we should have in our homes and in our cars to be prepared. Okay, Kathleen, thanks.
And I'm joined by Urban
Oh, good.
who assisted with putting this presentation together. All right, a lot of people have touched on a lot of things that are in this presentation. So straight into it.
Yeah.
Is that better? Oh, I can hear myself now. All right. Even though this is specifically about winter weather, your emergency preparations will overlap. We have a list. We have a list of essential items and actions you will need for emergency and PMC. There's handouts at the desk, and we have some up here at the demo. Hold your questions. Talk to us when we're over here. Your go bag for wildfires contains essential items, and it complements your shelter at home box, which can be more than one box, depending on the length and severity of the event. You may not need everything that you packed in your shelter at home box, but you'll be glad you prepared. Sheltering at home is something that you can experience outdoors after an earthquake. For winter weather, we're sheltering indoors. Weather is a lot more predictable than earthquakes, and there are many ways to check the weather. POA sends out warnings about severe weather well in advance. So when you hear about a storm coming, take it seriously. Check your emergency supplies. If you have a generator, make sure it works and you have fuel. If you're going to use your fireplace, make sure you have wood nearby and a lighter. You know the power is going to go out. So let's see, where do we go from there? Erdem. Oh, wait, I was looking for the thing that said, for the loss of power at night. Is that on the loss of power at night? Okay. All right, Erdem, take over, please. This will be.
Can everybody hear me?
Here, no, I'll move over.
That's okay. Okay, all right. Okay, so you're recording. That makes sense. So when we were putting together a list specific to PMC, we went through it. When we went through the list of what to pack in an emergency bag and an emergency box, we tried to be specific to PMC risks instead of going to the generic lists that you can find in other places. So the idea of the go bag and shelter in place box, that the go bag actually complements the shelter in place box. So you have your go bag, and the items in there are not going to be repeated. They're just going to be occasionally expanded in the shelter in place box. You can go to the next one. Yeah, I think I covered this one. So what you need to remember is in that list that I'm giving away now, like you're going to receive a copy, some of the items are going to be marked with a star. Those are items that need to be replenished from time to time. Otherwise, they can expire. Let's go to the next one. So the list is based on categories. The first one is medical and hygiene. In your go bag, which is a small backpack, okay, there's going to be a small first aid kit. Maybe about the size of this one. And in your shelter in place box, there's going to be a more advanced one that can actually take care of a few more things, a few more emergencies. In your go bag, again, life-saving medications that you may need. This is all very personal. And then in your shelter in place box, maybe a fuller list of medications. In your go bag, there's a pocket hand sanitizer. In the shelter-in-place box, there's a more advanced hygiene set, which is a hand soap, detergent, chlorine, large hand sanitizer, and large wet wipes. Now, the chlorine is going to be useful for treating water if it's necessary. Then again, there's also wet wipes in the go bag, but those wet wipes are replacing toilet paper, hygiene products, diapers, and also you're going to need garbage bags and latex gloves, because in case, like, I don't know the source of the statistic, but I think we were talking about how there is 52 intersection points between Mil Potrero and the San Andreas Fault. So in case of an earthquake, you might expect that road to be damaged for a long time. And that means services are not going to be there. And you may need to take care of a lot of things, a lot more than you imagine. And when I was taking the training on the CERT team, I was told that a lot of the times dealing with trash is even a major obstacle. So have some garbage bags and latex gloves, keep your hygiene. Next one, please. Water and food is a big one. Now, the official recommendation for water is 1 gallon per day per person. If you're a family of 3, and if you're thinking of about 2 weeks of services not being like restored, you're probably looking at about like 45, 50 gallons of water. So if you imagine the quantity, that's quite a lot. There are products out there called water bricks or water jugs, or even simple one of those sparklet containers. I highly recommend that you have a reserve amount of water, because if you have dry food, if you have any sort of food preparation that requires water, even that's going to be an issue. So keep that in mind as well, please. The water purification tablets and filters might be handy if you need to treat some water. I mean, I'm even thinking we have a great area here, a great golf course. There's a lot of water in the middle of it. So in your go bag, keep some bars in case you run out of energy bars, protein bars, granola bars, whatever. But in your to-go box, sorry, not to-go box, shelter-in-place box, there are emergency freeze-dried food containers that are available that last for many, many years. If you invest in one of those, you'll feel safe about having food in a situation. Canned food is always good, and of course, if you have a baby, infant formula, canned pet food, like I say canned pet food, but that's because those also expire quite fast if it's in. Also, a lot of the canned food is no good if you don't have a can opener, right? There are ways to open cans without can openers, but I don't recommend you waste time with that. A basic set of cooking, a pot, pan, some way to eat it, without getting dirty. I mean, I do recommend having some camping equipment. Kathleen is going to demonstrate some of them. But overall, you may think that paper plates are good, but that's going to accumulate quite fast. You maybe want to be able to just wipe your plate and reuse it. Let's move on to the next one. So fuel and energy, obviously a lighter, spare lighters, and a camping stove and fuel canisters. If you have a barbecue, a propane barbecue at home, that's obviously going to be useful in this situation. If not, one of those Coleman stoves might be handy. Have some of those green canisters, like those little canisters, the pound canisters. When you need them, everybody else might. So try to store some of them at home. Try to buy them ahead of time, because the store will definitely run out of them. Flashlights, headlights, lanterns, glow sticks. Now, you may have batteries. Definitely replenish those batteries, or if you have rechargeable lighting equipment, make sure you charge them. periodically. Now, you'll definitely need your mobile phone and RSN radio. We really recommend the RSN radio because there are times, even at the Snowmageddon, that things were not working. Verizon was not working, and people didn't have electricity to run their phones. Facebook wasn't there either, right? So it's actually a lot better to be able to talk to each other, obtain an RSN radio and join the check-ins and learn how to use it. Don't be shy. There are also some AM-capable radios, emergency radios. That some of them are hand-cranked, some of them are geared towards emergency announcement. Let's move on. You definitely need your charging cables and some extension cables and multipliers. Let's move on. The personal protection equipment and clothing. We're all familiar with N95 masks now. In case of a fire or an earthquake, they'll have a completely different purpose. I do recommend that you get those ones with the valves, so you can breathe out easily, and it filters the air when you're breathing in. Otherwise, an N95 is definitely great. Like it's gonna keep out a lot of the bad stuff in the air out. If you have a work respirator, like they sell them on Home Depot, like the ones with the bladders on the side, those are also great. You may want to keep one of those in your shelter-in-place box. You'll definitely need shoes and socks in case they get wet. Let's move on to the documentation. You'll grab your wallet in your as you're using your go bag. In that one, try to keep a notepad with your own information, not for you to use necessarily, but for emergency responders to use in case you're found unconscious or and maybe some of your emergency contacts, because not everybody remembers phone numbers anymore, right? You may want to have some of your essential information on a little thumb drive, on a solid state drive or something, because those are not the things you want to worry about when you're ordered to evacuate. When it comes to the shelter-in-place box, some cash is going to be necessary, I think. I mean, the quantity depends on you, but that's going to be the only way to buy things if the internet and the systems are not working, communication systems are not working. And I'm sure, like, as much as we would like to think that everybody's going to help each other, some payments may be required in some situations. I don't know how I don't expect the grocery store to become a dispensary. Let's move on. For sheltering, the minimum you should have in your, the optimum you should have in your go bag is a Mylar emergency blanket. Those are thermal insulators, radiant insulators. So it might really protect some heat, save you some of your heat. And then on the shelter-in-place box, a tarp, a small tent, it doesn't have to be a very fancy one, a very cheap one will do as well. At least you have something to use in case you need to shelter in place, but not at home. You know, because shelter in place doesn't mean you are at home. It could also mean that you are somewhere down in the golf course trying to wait out, you know. Obviously a sleeping bag. Let's move on to the next one. There's in navigation, I'm trying to think of a local paper map and an offline local map. I mean, I'll be happy to show anybody who doesn't already know this, but like a lot of the navigation systems are operational when you don't have phone service, because GPS keeps on working. You can actually go and download offline Google Maps or offline Apple Maps or any other map. Like I have the PMC map even without internet on my phone, and you can actually see where you are. Navigation is a little bit less functional, but it works. I mean, this might be necessary if, in case you're trying to help somebody, or in case you're trying to go somewhere to be able to get something in the town, or like maybe there's the radio message saying, okay, the fire is at this level now, like anyone above this street, blah, blah, blah. Like you may want to really, like I don't have all the map of PMC in my mind, but like it might be handy. Again, the last items are some survival knife, pocket knife, utility. There are utility shut-off wrenches specifically. I mean, you can find them in Home Depot and other places as well. The know how to turn off your propane tank. Some of them have easy valves, some of them are not that easy. Your electricity, how to shut off, like you don't need usually tools for that, but like one by one going onto the main shutter, main panel and shutting off the service, shutting off electricity. I also recommend having some small paracord. Paracords are these little lightweight ropes. Like if your bag is broken or if you need to rig a shelter, like those, it's a very small item that's very useful. And in your shelter-in-place box, you can have a 1/4 inch bigger rope. A duct tape and zip tie is also very useful. Now, Kathleen is going to go through more of the snowstorm. But I want to quickly mention some of the notes that you have at the bottom of this list. Actually, go back. So there are some apps that are really useful. For snowstorm, Caltrans Quick Map is a good source to see which roads are working operational. I'll skip the snowstorm part, like I said, but earthquake is, MyShake is a good app. It actually notifies you almost instantaneously during an earthquake. And this may seem redundant, but there may be situations where the earthquake center is not here, but another earthquake you may want to be aware of because it may trigger an aftershock here. And the earthquake may not wake you up, but the MyShake app will. So I highly recommend you download that one. I'm originally from Turkey, and a couple of years ago in Turkey, there was a big earthquake, and a lot of people who didn't make it, didn't because they didn't have very basic needs of water, something to eat, and a whistle next to their bed. These are very simple items to have. We don't live, like here, we don't live in those like concrete pancake buildings. We're lucky with that, but we're also very close to a fault line. The situations may be different, but it's really easy to keep those items next to your bed. And I also highly recommend that you have the radio, because that may be your lifeline in case you get stuck in your bedroom. Also recommended is a pry bar, one of those bars, metal bars, because a door can lose its shape and get jammed, and like you don't want to break your wrist trying to get through it to get to your child or someone in the next door. So remember also that floors may be covered in shattered glass and it might be dark. There may be no electricity. Just keep some shoes, and dedicated shoes. Like just keep them there, an old shoe, and make sure you can access it. And you may want to just put it on and turn on a light, like a flashlight, and find your way out. Again, like immediately afterwards, you may need, once you get yourself out, you may need some cutting tools, a shovel, a pickaxe, and saw. Like I said, roads may be blocked for several weeks. Plan for self-sufficiency for an extended amount of time. Lastly, for wildfire, watch duty has become very famous. We're all watching it very carefully whenever something is around. There's also the Genesis Protect app. This is an app where you can learn your zone ID, and that's going to come handy if any kind of evacuation or notification system is used. You'll need to know which zone you're in. Yeah, keep your vehicle fueled, wearing natural fibers and sturdy boots. The recommendation in general is to close all doors, windows, fans, vents, and AC during a wildfire, because you want to block the air. Like we can't limit the fuel, we can't limit the ignition. All we can do is make sure that that there isn't airflow within the house, so that we're not feeding the fire with air. Also, keep them unlocked, because emergency responders will need to access your home if you're not there, and having it locked is going to just delay things. Turn on all the lights, interior and outside, because it's going to be dark even if it's daytime. Yeah, and while evacuating, only use the go bag, your irreplaceable items, easily carried valuables, and maybe a small hard drive. So this is all of this information is in the papers. Try to obtain a copy, otherwise we'll give it to you as well. And Kathleen is going to go more into the snowstorm specifics of this now.
Play with this again. Okay, so everybody's talked about what you should have in your car, like a go bag in your car, except for the food. But you know what these are? Yeah, these are really, especially for people like me who are petrified of breaking my hip. Keep these in the car. Keep these where you can put them on your boots so you don't go out and slip on the ice. And hand warmers and Mylar blankets in the car in case you get stuck at the Y and you can't get down. You want to make sure that you can stay warm. All right, let's see. We go on to, all right, so you're here. You know the storm is coming and you have to go to work. Well, you're going to have to make a decision about work and important appointments. If you absolutely positively have to be at work or go to the doctor, reschedule what you can, talk to your employer, and if you absolutely have to be there, leave the mountain if you can. Don't try to get out for an appointment if the roads aren't clear. You know, we're mountain people when we're up here. We're not city people. So, you know, we need to be self-reliant and we need to take care of ourselves. And, you know, if there's snow, stay home. Everybody has said that. Just stay home, but be prepared. No one, I'm going to say this and you probably hate me. No one realistically is going to save you. You are going to save you by being prepared, and you will save your neighbors by being prepared. The POA is not going to shovel out your driveway. Have a snow shovel. Be patient. They're going to come eventually. Your shelter at home box, I think we said this already, should have enough supplies for everyone in your family and your pets for at least a week. Store these items in a place that's easy to get to, near a door if possible, if you have to go outside, and secure them from rodents and bears. Those storage bins work great. Most importantly, know your neighbors and make sure your neighbors know you. If you live near someone who's reclusive or disabled, make contact with them before the storm. Exchange phone numbers. Let them know who you are. Try to see if they are prepared. Alert the POA if it's necessary to be sure they're checked on when the roads are clear. And the one thing that I can only stress is if you prepare, you will survive. Anything else? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Right. These things at your bed. And the headlights are great because you've got something to light everything up and you don't have to use your hands. Up one more. No, the other way. Okay. So we talked about all this stuff, and there's demos over here. Come over and you can go through my shelter at home box, and we'll take out my go bags and we can see what's in them. One more slide up. Oh, if you have a propane stove in your house, you can cook on it without electricity. All right. If you have a propane grill, don't bring it in the house. You can cook outside. Seriously, don't bring it inside. If you want to, you don't want to open your refrigerator, take a cooler, throw a lot of snow in it, put your, if you open something, put it in there. Don't open the refrigerator, but don't store it outside for the bears. Oh, yes. Well, everybody has sort of talked about, what you need in the car, the water, the Mylar blankets, a small shovel, ice scrapers, snow tie, well, extra clothing, kitty litter, so you can get out of those places where you've dug in, hat, gloves, radio, extra clothing. What else?
The water in the car is probably going to freeze, but I think those pet bottles are able to freeze.
Yeah, and if you know that it's going to snow and you have to be out in the car, take a couple of energy bars with you, but don't leave them in the car. No, don't leave them in the car. No, I had a bear break into my glove box, so let's not, no, let's just not put, we're not recommending putting any food in the car. I think are we done? We are done. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. That was great. Really very informative. Next, we have Mark Greco and James Douglas, and they're going to be talking. Mark is this person here standing up, if you don't know Mark, and he's the deputy coordinator for CERT. James is our communications specialist, communications officer, and is quite expert on all things radio communications. And they're going to be talking about, some home backup power, as well as what resources we have to stay informed about pending severe weather situations coming up, as well as the current local resources for emergency situations. Okay, over to you guys.
All right. Thank you, everyone. As a member of CERT, one of the first rules of CERT when they teach you is do not be a victim. Prevent yourself from being a victim. So that is part of why we did this today and what I want to emphasize here. Backup power. If the power goes out and you don't have a plan, you are a victim. Don't be a victim. I'm not going to talk about generators. We're mountain people. Hopefully everybody knows about generators. But I brought here different sizes of battery backups. And I did this so that you guys understand that there's a whole range of options. In fact, most of you probably have something small for your cell phone. I hope you do when you travel. Even something like this is going to be a big help if the power goes out and your cell phone goes down. Having communications off the mountain is a big part of saving yourself if you can call 911 or letting your loved ones know that you're okay. I was able to talk to the local fire station here, and they told me that when we had Snowmageddon, they had a huge list of welfare checks. They had to go and check people because people off the mountain hadn't heard from their loved ones, and they needed to know if they were in trouble or okay. Don't let that happen to you. Don't be a victim. So I'm going to try to fly through this, but very quickly, when you're thinking about backup power, please think about all the things you want or need to power. And we have, I love having my flashlights be rechargeable flashlights rather than batteries, because then I can recharge it with a backup battery power like you see here. We have the radio, safety net radios, your cell phones, your computers, if you have Starlink. If you have the new Fraser Mountain Internet, which can survive during power outages, you want to power your computers and your routers. So please think about all the things you want to power, and each one of these will have a rating for how many watts it can output. So just all you have to do is look at the back of your device or look it up online, how many watts. You don't have to plug everything in at once, but that is what you want to think about when you determine the size of these things. So starting from here, the little one there, that one plugs into your car. You can use the power in your car to recharge your battery in your cell phone or the radio. And going up, the large... Sure. Thank you, Erdem.
and you guys can look at these afterward. The bigger ones there can be charged by solar as well. So that's something to think about. All right. And expect to be out for several days. So you can charge these with your generator, and so that you do not need to keep your generator running all the time or during the night. And think about your pellet stove. Most pellet stoves can be run on that one he's holding right there. Maybe not the ignition sequence if it uses electricity to generate the heat to start the fire, but read the instructions. You can start the fire in your pellet stove on your own, and then run the pellet stove with one of these. That one there will run it for days. And if you have a pellet stove, I really highly recommend that you get some sort of backup power. The big one might be expensive, yeah. That's why I brought different ones, because even the medium-sized one there will power a lot of things. You might be surprised how much it could power. All right, now I want to talk about the weather. So please don't be a victim. Don't be surprised by the weather. There's a million ways you can check the weather, and I know some of you, all of you, probably think that you are doing it correctly, and I hope you are. But what we found out is during Snowmageddon, there were a lot of tourists up here, and there were other people who were surprised. Don't be surprised. So I'm just going to focus on computer and phone. Just some really basic tips. When you're looking for weather in Pine Mountain Club, I would suggest not typing in Pine Mountain Club. I would type in 93222, even if you live in 225, because that includes Fraser Park. Allow your phone to give you notifications. Go to the little gearbox or the 3 lines. I believe in iPhone weather app, you can select the location, turn on notifications for that location. The importance of that is you will get weather alerts. I'm going to talk about what the weather alerts mean in a moment, but sometimes they happen and they are not foreseen. So in this October, we had a winter weather warning, and that came out of nowhere. They did not predict that the snow would stick. They did not predict the amount of snow. They did predict some snow, but they didn't issue a warning or a watch or an alert until it started happening. And when it was happening, they upgraded it to a warning. If you have your notifications, you would have seen that, and you would have been aware. Maybe you didn't know it was snowing at the Y or something like that. So please do that. The difference between a warning, a watch, and an advisory: a warning is either happening now or it's soon, and it's severe enough that it warrants telling people about. A watch is further out in time. It also is likely to be serious, and all of these criteria are: if you do not act on this information, the Weather Service determines that you could be in jeopardy. An advisory, it's a precaution should be taken. It's generally less severe than a warning or watch. I want you to be aware that the National Weather Service station in Hanford makes the determination of what the severity is. You might find online lists that it has to be a certain number of inches or certain amount of rainfall. That's not actually true. It's all relative to where it is. So in October, we just had a couple inches of snow. They issued that warning because it was October and it was a surprise. So it's the context that matters. So when it says there's an alert on your phone, please read it. It could be a big surprise to you. When you read it, look for our location or the Fraser Mountain Communities. It's usually how it's listed, so you know it applies to you. All right, I want to do on the next slide, how to get very accurate weather information in PMC. There's a lot of bad weather when you go to weather apps. I wanted to point everyone to something that maybe not a lot of people know about. It's weather.gov, which is the National Weather Service. If you put in 93222, you'll get a very accurate, up-to-date weather alert, which is pretty normal. But what you may not know is that they do very small grids of weather. So you can actually get the weather for this area here. You can get a separate prediction for the higher elevations in PMC, and another one for the lower elevations, another one for the Y. And it's a little complicated how to get that. So what I did is I put the links to the Y grid, the clubhouse grid, and a higher elevation grid on our Facebook page. So we have PMC CERT has a Facebook page. You can find it by searching PMC CERT in Facebook, or that is the link for it. And the post for that, I think, is the most recent post for the PMC Facebook. So go ahead and check that. Click the links, bookmark it in your on your phone or your computer, and go ahead and check that. You will see that the predictions are slightly different, including how much snow is going to fall, what time this is going to rain or snow. So you can really get much more accurate information than probably most people are accustomed to getting. Please, when you're at that Facebook page, please give it a like and give it a follow. We provide very excellent information about not just weather events, but any kind of emergency. We try to keep people up to date. With that, I want to turn it over to James, and he's going to talk about the radio safety net, which is probably the best thing we have going on up here for safety during emergencies.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, everyone. I see a lot of familiar faces out in the audience. And so for those of you who are already part of the Radio Safety Net, this will all be very familiar to you. And thank you so much for being a part of the program. If you'd like our email address for the Radio Safety Net, it is right there. There will be another slide that also has that info. But feel free to take a photo of that if you would like. So if you could go to the next slide, please. I think a lot of us were here for the February of 2023 snowstorm, Snowmageddon. I like to put this slide up here just to point out that we were on the front page of the New York Times. But when things like this happen, this is what it looked like closer to the village here, down in the village. You can see the general store right here. The snow is a lot deeper in other parts of PMC. And if you go to the next slide there, this is not actually from PMC. That color would probably not make it past the EC, for example. But a lot of folks' houses looked a lot like this. Further up the mountain, I've heard countless stories from residents here where they had 6 to 8 feet of snow out their front door, having to tunnel to neighbors, unable to check on people, not even sure if their neighbors were alive because there was so much snow in between our house or their house and their neighbor's house. This is a real challenge. This is a challenge for safety. This is a challenge for communications. And as we know, in the Snowmageddon event in February of 2023, we had a bunch of hazards that all happened at the same time. We lost electricity in major parts of PMC, sometimes for up to about 2 weeks. We also, because of the loss of power, we lost electricity to our one cell tower in town because it is way up the mountain. Now, it does have diesel backup, and I think certainly several days, I think it might have a week of fuel, but there is a limit to how long that cell tower can stay online. In a major power outage, who's gonna trudge up the mountain to get fuel up to that generator? Like maybe the fire department, maybe, but it is very likely that cell tower will go offline as it did during Snowmageddon. Now, this will be improved, obviously, when we have our next cell tower over here near the transfer site, but that's probably a little ways off. So when all of these kinds of systems fail, it makes it a whole lot harder to communicate. And so imagine what would happen if you were to have to call for help and you could not because internet was down, which means Wi-Fi calling is down. You can't, you're running out of heat in your house. There's no way for you to get a hold of somebody. The Radio Safety Net was born out of this challenge, trying to address this challenge. When all other systems fail, we need a way to be able to communicate. And so this was created so that when many of us were stuck at home and unable to call for help, should a life-threatening situation have emerged. And this is a form of backup communications that will work when everything else is not. It's a simple radio technology that works as long as your radio turns on. And we've tried to make this as distributed, as inexpensive, and off-grid as possible. If your radio turns on, you should be able to call for help. So we do have a little bit of kind of key infrastructure for our community that was supported by the POA. There we have a repeater right over by the fire station with enough power for it in its backup battery for 30 days of consistent operation. So this system is ready for the next Snowmageddon as long as an ice storm doesn't take out the antenna or something, but extenuating circumstance. So we do have a repeater here, and Yeah, and I also want to give a particular shout out to the former owners of Fraser Mountain Internet. Scott from Fraser Mountain Internet made our initial repeater purchase possible. So thank you so much. Let's see. Oh yeah, and then one of the last things I'll say here is that we've only been doing this for a couple of years, and although we have just over now 300 members in our community, that's over 12.5% of the PMC community is a part of the Radio Safety Net program. We are still actively trying to improve this, improve the coverage of our repeater and our radio systems, and improve the quality of the program itself. So I don't want to say that I have all the answers. I certainly don't. But we are trying to actively improve this as volunteers. And if you go to the last, yeah, right. That green looks terrible on this screen. But if anybody would like to see this image, come and see me afterwards. I can show it to you on a better color screen. This is the coverage for our repeater, and you can see that it covers almost all of the way to the Y. So if you have a radio in your car and you spin off the road, going out, coming back from the Y, let's say, your radio signal may be able to get into our repeater, and someone may be able to come and assist or relay that information to CHP. The green is good radio coverage from our repeater if you were standing outside of your vehicle. The yellow, which also looks like a terrible color, the yellow here is okay, and if you see neither, then you would need some external antenna or something like that. I can show you a better version of this. We have a table over there if you would like to come and see us afterwards. So if you go to the last slide here. So this program, this program uses these simple two-way radios that are higher powered than what you would typically encounter in like a blister pack set of radios from Target or Walmart or what have you. They're a little bit different, and so a little bit different to use, and they do officially require a license from the FCC. One license covers your entire immediate family for 10 years. So this is quite easy to get, and there's no test or anything like with the ham radio world. We do have trainings as an introduction to the Radio Safety Net the first Saturday of every month, so the next one will be December 6th. We also have radio office hours every Thursday from 7 o'clock until 8 o'clock right here in the Condor room at 7 to 8 p.m. in the evening, except on holidays, so not this coming week because of Thanksgiving. You can also email us for more information, and I'll be over at the table over there and happy to talk with you with any questions. Oh yeah, and also we wanted to just have a particular shout out to the POA. Once again, thank you for the support, for all of your support as members of the POA. And we're trying to, in helping to get this, make it as easy as possible to get started with the Radio Safety Net program. We're also working with the POA to sell radios and extended capacity batteries at a little bit below market rate, thankfully, through the business office. We're not quite there yet, but we are getting there. Thank you.
All right.
Operations, this is Field Team 1.
Field Team 1, go ahead for ops.
Ops, we have completed the objective in 1, 2, 3, 4 Woodlands. The victim has been relocated to a warm location with access to food over.
I copy, objective complete. Thank you, Field Team 1. You can report back to the CERT meeting. Over. So what you just heard and saw was a small example of what we at CERT intend to do during another Snowmageddon or other disasters. We're here to help, and we're your neighbors helping neighbors, but we're trained and organized. For those of you that don't remember, Barbara said it at the beginning, but CERT stands for the Community Emergency Response Team. We're a team of volunteers, your neighbors, trained to actively aid the community before, during, and after a disaster has struck. CERT is a federally organized program administered locally by Kern County Fire Department, which is our sponsoring organization. We are not part of the POA, although the POA generously contributes money to our program. Our training includes search and rescue in buildings, fire suppression, triage, moving and recovering victims, trauma care, establishing shelters, and damage assessments. We are required to maintain certification in CPR, AEDs, and first aid. But just as importantly, we're trained and practice in implementing the incident command system. What that means is that we train not just to be operational during disasters, but organized, situationally aware, and to integrate with the county first responders if or when they arrive in Pine Mountain Club. As you heard James discuss, the radio safety net was created with blizzards in mind. But as you know, help did not come right away. Then it took days, and in an earthquake, as you know, it's going to take even longer. At CERT, we also learned from that, and we're working hard to integrate the radio safety net into our planning. And we don't expect help to come in time because it most likely won't. As you saw, CERT, as we practiced during the shakeout event as well, CERT is prepared to respond to calls that are appropriate to respond to. We also are prepared to relay that information to 911 or to the county emergency authorities, depending on the status of 911. And we also have other ways using radios and other methods to get your emergency calls on the radio safety net off the mountain if 911 goes down. So CERT's plan is to respond. We will track the requests for help, relay them to authorities, and respond as appropriate. In a snowmageddon, we'll be monitoring and organizing radio traffic. We'll be in contact with the government authorities at various levels. We'll be rendering aid, digging people out of houses, setting up triage and medical aid sites, and along with Red Cross, establishing and manning shelters. For those of you in the community that think you might want to help when a disaster happens or just want to get training, please join us at CERT. We need your help. And we do think we're going to save lives when it happens again. Right now, I'd like to bring up David Geringer, our newest member, to talk about why you might want to consider joining us.
Thank you, Mark. Hello, everyone. Hope you can hear me. I have been on the mountain since September 1st. I came with my wife and my young daughter. And what brings us here is the Eaton Fire. We're residents of Altadena, and on, I guess, we're almost at a year anniversary, January 7th, we had a fire pretty much devastate most of the town, everywhere that was important to us. Because my wife is tuned in with local people, and much like people here, we were able to get out before the fire. She got us into a hotel. Because of my CERT training, I actually had all my documents in the safe in an envelope. So it was very easy to grab that. But I'll tell you, when you're doing an evacuation, trying to think about what you want to save is very difficult. And it just made me want to not save anything. So I got my daughter, got the pets, got the documents, and some basics, and then we left. And later that night was when the fire hit. In that case, there was no need for CERT because it was an evacuation, but I will tell you how many, there were so many good Samaritans that made such a difference in that fire. Somebody put out a fire in our house. We had our windowsill had caught. Someone got to that. The window had blown in. There was water inside. So either a good Samaritan or a firefighter saved the house for us. But our guest house was destroyed, the garage, our shed full of all of our emergency supplies, gone. And we haven't been back home since. We've moved 11 times, I think, before getting here. And we're here at least through February and maybe longer. And who knows how much longer after that, because we really enjoyed being in the community. But when I got here and realizing there's only one highway in and one highway out, that we're on the fault line, and I'm not just an Eaton fire survivor, I'm also a 94 earthquake survivor from the Northridge earthquake. So been from one to another, and I really wanted to be in touch with the emergency preparedness here. And it started with a radio, and I really suggest all of you go out and get one. They're $30 on Amazon. Mark or the team can program it for you. So turning it on, finding your channel, you can be in touch with people that are listening all the time. It feels good for me to know that we've got this team here. So I wanted to get involved with CERT. I actually trained in Altadena. the way they wanted to activate us was like for helping with parking in the Rose Parade, and that wasn't really what I joined for. So I wasn't very active there, but when I came here, I wanted to be. And I'm so impressed with the team. These are your community members, our community members, and they put in so much time to train, to gather materials. There's been a big changing of the guard with CERT, and with that, they've also been updating supplies, medical supplies. All of these supplies are for you. So I wanted to encourage small donations, $5, $10. It could be some medical supplies that you might have. Could be anything, or yourselves. CERT training is not hard. It's nice to be part of a team because as everyone has repeated and everybody knows, these are your first responders. We have a small team that we work with the fire department, but it's these people that will be helping you. So every dollar or hour that you can afford to spend is you investing in your community and the safety in the future in case anything else happens, God forbid. Thank you for your time.
Wow, that was great. Thank you very much, David. My God, his story is unbelievable. And thank you very much, Mark and James, for that information. So I want to do something just really quickly here. I wanted to share something with you that I learned a couple of years ago, and it looks like this little, like I'm about to do a magic trick over here. But I just want to show you something. This is, and many of you may already know how to do this, but this is the simplest way and unbelievably effective to heat a room when your power is down, it's cold, and you don't have a fireplace or a pellet stove that's actually, something that's heating that room. This is so simple. So you just have to have a base. It could be stone, it could be brick. In this case, I just brought a metal tray, right? You put something on it, and in this place, I just put a muffin tin. I've got 4 of these wonderful little tea lights. Put them in there. I take a smaller terracotta pot and put it on top of it. I want to scooch the tea lights so they're pretty much under it. Then I take another tea light. I light those, obviously. I take another tea light, put it on top. And then I take this and put it over the top. You want to have air coming in from the bottom. And that is it. You won't believe, within about 15 minutes, a room that's maybe 10 by 12 will be warm enough that you won't need to wear a sweater. It's phenomenal. And it lasts as long as the tea lights last, which is usually about 4 to 6 hours, right? So, get yourself a couple of bags of those tea lights, which will cost you maybe $3, right? And go to your garden and get a couple of the terracotta pots and a base for it, and you've got an immediate way to heat a room. Simple, huh? Okay, good. Okay, great. Well, I just want to very quickly promote our next event, which is going to be how to put chains, cables, or snow socks on your car. If you don't know how to do it, or it's been a long time since you did it and you want to practice, we're going to have a couple of people who know how to do it. We've got a lot of experience doing it, and it's going to be in the CERT parking lot right next to the fire department on the 6th of December, which is a Saturday morning from 10:30 to 12, I think we said, right? 10:30 to 12, yeah. So you can there's not going to be somebody standing up in front of a group talking. Just come, bring your car, bring your chains or your cables, and they will teach you how to put them on and have you do it right there. So you practice it and you learn it. Okay? Great. So it's time for our raffle. Kenny is going to come up and be our raffle person. And over to you, Kenny. Good.
Hi. People call me Jack, say Jack, and my partner, Vanna White over there. So I'm Kenny, and that's Chris. We've got all kinds of prizes here today. If I can have an assistant to pull one of these tags, since I memorize everybody's names and numbers, so I know who's going to win. So, Izumi, you want to help me just pull a card? Okay. So, just pull, just shake that up. Pull one out. I'm going to read what the first prize is. Okay, our